Hello beautiful, welcome back to Nat's Beautiful Life. Today I'm going to be sharing with you a video that has been a labor of love for me and I'm so excited to finally be filming it. I am going to be reading YouTubers' favorite books of 2021 and I've already picked them, I've read them, and I want to talk to you about them. But first, if you're new to this channel, hello, my name is Natasha. I do videos on books, art, and bullet journaling, media, anything I want to do a video about, because why not? So I would love if you would click the little like button if you like me, if you like the video, if you want to see more. Also subscribe, and if you are into notification bells, go ahead and click that. I do videos every Friday, and sometimes there are little extra videos in between. So if you do the notification bell, it will notify you whenever there's one up. But I do aim for every Friday. If you don't see one on Friday, just check out Saturday morning because I'm only one person. All right, so without any further ado, let's get into the video. All right, so I watched a lot of YouTubers' favorite books of 2021. I watched a lot of them, and many of them had books that overlapped with me or books that I hadn't read yet, but they're already high on my priority list, so I didn't choose those. What I did was I chose ones that were maybe not on my radar, had never heard of before, or ones that I had heard of and maybe wanted to read in the future but had no like timetable on them, so I went ahead and prioritized them. So I will show you guys the books that I picked, the YouTubers I picked them from, and there will be links to their videos down below. And I was also thinking, should I do this in the best to worst or worst to best format? But what I'm going to do is just go in the order that I read them. And there are books that I loved and some books that I didn't. But most of them I did love, and here's the disclaimer: if you love these books that I didn't like, that is fine. It's fine. Feel free in the comments below to nicely put why you liked the book. You know, I'm sorry you didn't like the book, but I loved it because this, that, and the other is perfectly fine with me in the comments, because I love that kind of commentary and feedback. If you hated a book that I loved, same. It's not going to hurt my feelings. We all like what we like, and we all dislike what we dislike. We have genres we will never touch except on duress, and genres that we gravitate towards, and that's fine. We all like what we like, and that's it. All right, so the first book I got from Noelle Gallagher. I love Noelle's channel and I love Noelle. She reads a lot of classics, and so do I, so I really like hearing her thoughts on classics that maybe I haven't gotten to yet. She's in a master's program for literature. I was a literature major, so I eat her channel up and really love some of the things that she recommends. I have been burned on some of the books that she's recommended before or that she showed in like a haul, but I also have enjoyed some of the things. So the book that I chose from her stack is this one, Lizzie and Dante by Mary Bly. I was presented this by Noelle, that it was a book where this man and woman meet. She's got cancer, and I'm expecting like literary fiction and you know, a heartbreaking story at the end, because she basically in her video is telling you it doesn't end well, and all of that. So I'm expecting literary fiction, a beautiful novel about all of this. No. This book is a romance novel, and I mean not a story with a love story in it. I'm talking a straight up romance novel, which is not my genre. Again, that is the #1 selling genre in the world, or at least America, is romance, and that's okay. I just don't like it. This book was such a disappointment to me, but I read the whole thing. But here's what I'm going to say about this book. I have so many thoughts about this book because there is one character. So we have Lizzie and Dante. Lizzie is an American, and she is over in Italy on this Italian island. Dante is a chef there, and he has a daughter. they meet, it's insta love. Like they start out flirting and then next thing you know, he would give his life for her. Like that kind of situation. There's no development of the relationship. It just is. He has a daughter named Etta, and Etta is like 12 years old when Lizzie and Dante meet, and she is the only character that has any development, like herself as well as her relationship with Lizzie and the people who are with her. So what I'm telling you right now, you might be saying, that doesn't sound so bad. Well, let's break this down a little bit. The reason why Lizzie is there on this island is because her best friend is dating Captain Britain from the Avengers movie. Yeah, you're right. There's no Captain Britain in the Avengers movies. It's made up. And he wants to do a Romeo and Juliet movie, so they're on this island doing research or like writing screenplays or something, and she is a Shakespeare professor, so that's why she's there to be like a consultant. Again, what? There are conversations that happen between her and her best friend that would never happen. I was like jaw to the ground, like, what are you saying? And then also there is so much singing in restaurants. I don't know if you've ever seen this movie, but I think it's from the 90s. And it's Julia Roberts, and it's called My Best Friend's Wedding, I think. And they're in a restaurant, and they start singing Wedding Party in the restaurant, and then the whole restaurant starts singing together. And I just kept picturing that in this book, because they sing hymns all the time. And they have really weird conversations that are just uncomfortable and also awkward and just stupid. And it was terrible. But like I said, the things with Etta are what saved the book. There's also like another friend that's in there. I think her name is Ruby. So Ruby and Etta like are my favorite characters, and they save the book. But there is a scene towards the end of the book. Like, I feel like I had to read this whole book to get to the last 50 pages. There is a scene at the end of the book, or towards the end of the book, where Lizzie is telling Etta about her cancer, and I bawled like a baby. And I don't typically cry at things, so it was like I just kind of toyed with the rating in this. I think I wound up giving it 3 stars. I don't remember if I gave it 2 stars or 3 stars, honestly, because there are elements of this book, if Mary Bly would have taken some of the elements from Etta's life. So Etta's never had a mother. She's always wanted a mother. She hones in on Lizzie, you know, falls in love with her, and all of these things. I mean, though some of the writing is so beautiful in that aspect, and it's like if Mary Bly would have stuck to that, she would have had a literary fiction novel that was beautiful. But again, it's a romance novel, which again is fine. But the writing and some of the things that happened in this book were so stupid and so just, I did not enjoy. And so I was like, how is this on a favorite of the year book? Because unless it has to do with your feelings, because like I said, it makes you feel because of Etta, the daughter. It makes you feel. But there are some parts in here that will make you a little angry too. It's like Lizzie has decided she doesn't want to fight her cancer anymore. She's fought for too long. She's tired. She just wants to live her life. And then these people are pushing her to do what she doesn't want. And all of this stuff. And it's like, she's already made these decisions and they're pushing her. I don't know. And I understand when you love someone who has cancer, I know for this for a fact, you want them to fight as hard as they can so they can stay. But there comes a point when you look at them and you say, you've done enough. It's time for you to rest. And there was so much to this book that I was not a fan of. But again, this was a favorite for somebody, so it may be a favorite for you, but this just wasn't my jam. I didn't like all the other, there was like nonsense in the book. Just a lot of nonsense and a lot of stuff I didn't like that, you know, doesn't go well with me for books, but it had so much potential and I was just really disappointed. Okay, so the second book I read, oh my word, this is a gem. Loved it. So this one is from Jack Edwards. He's someone I recently found, and I like that he shows books that maybe I haven't thought of before, or maybe he talks about them in other ways than other people. And again, I think he has a literature degree as well, so I like the way he talks about books and the way he kind of explains them. And I've also seen Noelle Gallagher talk about this book as well. But this is Open Water by Caleb Azuma Nelson. This book is beautifully written. It is poetic. It is definitely some sort of prose going on here. So I feel like if you are interested in reading a book of kind of prose, like a book written that way, kind of, it's not really written like a poem. It is written like a novel, but the book is so poetically written. The language is beautiful. If you're looking to get into something like that or give it a try, I think this would be an easier one to get into because it does have an actual storyline with it. So we have two characters. We follow our main character, which is our male character. He meets a young woman, and they immediately kind of click, even though she's dating one of his friends, but they become good friends. Later they become something else, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful story of love and friendship, and they have everything that everybody ever wants. But there's also this aspect, they live in East London, where he lives kind of in fear. Well, he lives in fear. As a black man, he has been through being stopped, being thought of as a suspect and different things just because, you know, they said it was a black man and he walked by. He's been pulled over. They've been in cars with friends and things like that. He's also seen people die in the streets, and that PSTD kind of thing, and has built up his anxiety and his you know, mental illness caused problems. And so it's caused problems for him and our lovely lady here. And it, you know, I will never understand what it's like to be a black man because I'm a white woman, but it gets you in the head of a black man, the way he's speaking, and it really helps you understand things. You can understand why there's fear, why it becomes anger, why it becomes, you know, why do I have to be so afraid when I leave the house and I go somewhere to just pick something up? I should just be thinking about what I'm doing and coming home, but instead I have to be the best of the best of the best so that I don't get in trouble. And I still might get in trouble because, you know, they're just looking for a black man because that's what they've been told to look for. When there's a problem, you know, a crime occurs, they say, well, the man was black. Well, any black man is fair game. And that's what I am. And so that's what he's feeling, and he's taking all of this in because he's not just seen it on television, he's experienced it. And I think that's also very important to understand. And I gave this 4 stars, I think, because or maybe 4.75. I didn't quite understand all of the stuff between he and her. Like why he seemed like she was kind of his safe place for a while. And then when something really bad happened, like he was there when a murder occurred and all of these things, he didn't run to her. He kind of ran away from her and other things. But beautiful book, and it's not just about those things. There are also mentions of art, books, music. There's just so much beauty and life and just richness in this book. And most of the book is on the positive, and then you get towards the end where all the things that he's experienced and is just kind of dealt with and just kind of like moved on from, they just kind of hit him all at once when, you know, something happened. So I can't recommend this enough. This is incredibly beautifully written, so poetic, awesome job, and I can't wait to see what this dude puts out in the future because this is good. All right, next book. I got this particular book from The Story Ain't Over. So this is Jenny. I get a lot of good recommendations lately from Jenny because she reads different books as well, but she also reads books by BIPOC authors. So she intentionally makes this happen, and she has a book club with it. So I really enjoy watching her videos and learning about these new authors. They're new to me, and new stories and things like that. The Stationery Shop by Marjan Kamali. If you read no other book that I mentioned today, go read this one. It's so good. I gave it 5 out of 5 out of 5 stars, and if I could give it 11, I would. It's awesome. So we start off in the US. It is 2013. There's an older man and an older woman, and she's telling him, it's her husband, I made an appointment to go to this nursing home to meet this person, you know, him. She says him. And he's like, okay. And so they go. And then immediately when she sees him, you're taken back to 1953 Iran. And it is the best, it's the best book. It is a love story. Again, I don't mind love stories as long as other things are going on, but I don't like romance books. But this has got a love story in it, as well as so much more. And we follow our main character throughout the whole thing. What is her name? Roya. But her family, her sister, and all of this. And then we have, is it Bauman? Yeah, Bauman, who is kind of the love interest in 1953 and the things that happen with him. But it talks a lot about what's going on in Iran at the time. I really enjoyed this as a bonus because my neighbors are Iranian, and I learned a little bit about customs and holidays and things like that. So, you know, maybe I can, you know, celebrate and share some of that stuff with them. I really enjoyed it. But it talks about, you know, when democracy was being fought for, or they were championing for it in Iran, and then the coup and all of that stuff that happens when the king kind of overthrows all of that. And there's also like the Russian communists are here trying to get communism to be the thing in Iran instead of like the monarchy, which sounds funny to say. But anyway, there's just all of this going on, and throughout it there's a love story. And then there's the stationery shop is kind of where they meet, and it's also where they exchange letters and things like that sometimes. But it's so good. Then just things happen. I don't want to give any of the story away, because if I tell you too much, you're just, you know, it'll ruin the first parts of the book. But this book is so good. You're going to follow, not only learn about different Iranian culture things, but also food and stuff like that. But also, you'll find that there are men such as Roya's father who are very much pro-democracy. They're pro, like, our women need to be educated, our women need to have freedom, and things like that. And when he wants to send them, his daughters, to America to go to school, others in his, you know, more traditional family are like, how dare you send unwed women, you know, to another country by themselves? Why do they need to have education? They should stay here and marry and make children and things like that. And he's like, I want my daughters to have these choices. I want them, he really wants them to be into science and engineering and things like that so that they can change the world. And this is a good book. I can't express it enough, but I don't want to tell you anything beyond what I've told you because I don't want to ruin it. It is so, so good. And there will be times when you're just like in awe. But yeah, I need some more of this gal's writing. I need some more books by her because incredible. Incredible. Again, read this if you don't read anything else. Alright, so then I needed something that was a little different. I feel like between Open Water and the stationery shop, I had some heavy reads, and I needed something fun. So, Merphy Napier, who I also love, we have a lot of similar tastes, but also I like that she's snarky about some of the books she reads. Like, she loves Harry Potter, but she also sees flaws in Harry Potter, so she has these videos that talk about the flaws of Harry Potter, how it doesn't work in some places. So I love that she will love books that she can also pick apart, but she's also an author, and I just really like her take on books, because when she loves a book, she really loves it. last year she fell in love with Daphne du Maurier. Still can't really say it correctly. I don't know what's wrong with me. And she recommended a book that I actually had on my shelf that wasn't like a high priority. I knew I would read it because, I mean, I owned it, but I wasn't like, I didn't care when kind of a thing. I have kind of, you know, prioritized Rebecca, which I have over there. That's why I did that. But I kind of prioritized Rebecca over this because I've been, you know, I started it and then didn't finish it because of whatever reason. But anyway, it's Frenchman's Creek by Daphne du Maurier. I own this. I was in Blacksburg, Virginia for a football game and was in a used bookstore and found it. And I just was like, sure. And what's funny is this originally was 95 cents and I paid $2 for it. Inflation? I don't know. But this was a gem. This was a find. This was fun. We have our main character, Donya, and our pirate. So we have a British woman living in London with her husband, her children, and she is not your typical British housewife, mother type person. She's very cheeky. She likes to play practical jokes. They are part of the court, so she plays practical jokes on some of the princesses and queens and things like that. She gets into all kinds of crazy stuff with her husband and his friends. They're just party boys, and she's a party girl. And she plays a trick on one of the older princesses or duchess or something like that. Can't remember what it was. But she feels really bad about it, and then she's like, she's looking at her life and she's looking at everything and she's seeing her husband and she's like, I need a break. I need some freedom. So they have this house by the sea in the country, Navern House or something like that. Yep. In Cornwall. And she decides that she wants to go there for a time. So it's her 2 children, and their nanny. And they go to the country house. And a neighbor lets her know that there's a pirate and they can't catch him. They call him the Frenchmen, and he has stolen things from them, and he basically tells her they wreak all kinds of havoc and stuff like that, and they do all these things and blah blah blah. But they don't. They do steal because they're pirates, but they don't do all the horrible things that they say they're doing. She also doesn't really like the man who comes over and talks to her. She can tell he's kind of, you know, an idiot and all of these things, and very pretentious and all kinds of stuff. And he's very like taken aback that she's there without her husband, and why hasn't her husband been there for a while, and if he would only come, then maybe we'd catch the Frenchmen or whatever. And she's like, yeah, okay. Anywho, she's walking her property one day, and there's like a channel or a little like creek, river thing that's there, and she sees the pirate ship, and she meets the pirate, and that's why they can't find him, because he hides in this little area. Turns out he also uses her house when he's kind of like in for the winter or whatever. Because it's, you know, they haven't been there in years, and so he's just kind of making good use of it. But this story is a love story, so it is considered kind of a romance, but it's not. There's just so much more to it. There's romance, there's a pirate, there's adventure, there's these deep thoughts, there's this cheeky way that they speak to each other, her and the pirate, and all these realizations and things that they know. And the thing is, she knows her husband is an idiot, and he knows he's an idiot. Like, he will straight up tell you, you know, he's dumber than rocks. And he just doesn't get things, you know. And this man is so much more, like, the pirate is so much more intelligent than all the men in the area. Because, like, he just is. And he's not like, well, yeah, I don't want to give it away, but I just gotta tell you, this is a good time. It's like 216 pages in this little edition. And it hooked me from the very first chapter. It had a little hint of magical realism in the very first chapter, which I'm not normally into, but it was kind of haunting. and it really hooked me, and then I just was so enthralled with the story. And oh my word, that's actually what it says. One of the most enthralling historical romances ever written. But I enjoyed this so much. If you want to try out a classic, it is, I think, 1941 classic romance with adventure, and it's a lot of adventure and a lot of, like, she's so into just causing, not necessarily causing trouble, but like being trouble and all of this stuff, and I just enjoyed it. She's not perfect by any means. She is a troublemaker, but she's also a mother. I'll just put it that way, because you think one thing's gonna happen and things. Check it out. Really, really good. I can see myself rereading that over and over and over again. Such a joy of a book. Good times. All right. Let's get to the book that was recommended to me by Books and Lala. Books and Lala, Kayla, I believe, she tends to like mystery, thriller, horror, and some fantasy type things. She likes different things, weird things. And so I picked up this book from the library that she recommended. Again, I wanted to grab things that maybe I wouldn't have tried on my own, but the premise of the story sounded good and all of that. I have like some of the things that she has liked, but this was not one of them. And it breaks my heart because I really wanted to love this book. So it's The Wild Ones by Nafisa Azad. First of all, this cover is delightful in all its ways, but all right, so let's just get into the book. The main premise is there's these wild ones, there's these girls, and there's magic, they're magical. And to become a wild one, basically what has happened is something horrible has happened, and in these particular girls, most of the times this happened because of something their mother did. So for instance, our main character, Paeli, is that what her name? Yeah. She, her mother was a prostitute who sold her services, like sold Paeli to a man who was interested in her, and he raped her and all of that. She gets away, she's very hurt. This boy comes up and gives her a box. She opens it, it's full of stars. She holds one in her hand, it like becomes part of her hand. She touches a wall, a door appears, and she goes into the in-between. So she is of the in-between. And throughout the years, she has found other girls who have had similar horrific events happen to them and made them part of the wild ones. And one day, this boy, Tirana, I think it's Tirana. I just finished it this like morning. Tirana. He comes back and he's like, people are trying to kill me. They want me dead. They want to use, actually they don't want him dead. They don't want to use him because his tears are what caused the stars. And they're pure magic. And so they're in this kind of race to find, you know, the guy who's the main guy who's after Tirana, and you know, kind of save his life and all of this stuff. Okay, that sounds like a decent enough plot, right? They literally could have told the story of that plot in a short story and it would have been fine. Here's the thing. There's repeated, like, the book itself, the writing, her writing when she's writing the actual novel is fine. It's actually beautiful. It's well done. There are things like this in here, very like various poetry stuff that's supposed to be the story. It's not really the stories, it's the memories of the wild ones. There's 11 when we start out, and it doesn't really tell you anything about what happened to them, but throughout the book there is a message of all men are predators, all women are victims. I mean, this is just my opinion, just like belly buttons, everybody's born's got one, and fear is your friend, keep your anger, all of these things. It was to the extreme, and I'm a feminist, so this is me saying that this was to the extreme as a feminist. So, there's also parts in here where it's like she was trying to do too much with this book. So what I mean by that is every now and then, they find, Paley hears a call of, like, a girl is trying to hurt herself because of something. And she'll either make them a wild one, or sometimes they actually will wind up, like, killing themselves. And the thing is, the events that have happened to these women are spread throughout the whole book. There's little snippets here and there, and also little snippets about them, like women versus men, them. And it's such a, I want to say it's just such an unhealthy view. There's no balance. I think that's the word I'm looking for. There's no balance. Instead of saying all men are not good, all men are not bad. Like, most of them are bad, but maybe there's a few, like Toronto, who are not bad, who are good. And, it was so many mixed messages as well, because these women are supposed to be like, I'm not going to be a victim. I'm going to take charge. I'm going to take control. And they do have a weapon. It's their scream. Their scream. And that is an actual good metaphor, I thought. So when they scream at these men, because like if they catch someone in the act of trying to harm a girl or a woman, they can show up and the girl can get away. They'll scream, their magical scream at these men. And they said them, if they keep going, they'll die. But if they do it just long enough, it's pure magic. And the men will hear the scream in their dreams. They'll hear it in their quiet times. And basically it ruins their life because it destroys everything in their life. And it's, I thought that was a good metaphor for when something horrible, like these things that are horrible, happen to women. And many times if they don't get any help, if they cannot move beyond it, you'll never get over it. But if you move beyond it, if you don't get to the other side of it, then, that trauma will be in your dreams. It will be in your quiet times. It will be in these things. So I thought that was a wonderful metaphor of how that worked. So again, there's some good in this book and there's some bad. Again, the writing, like I said, was beautiful, but she did have this element of, there's two things that stuck out to me in her writing. One was every now and then, the whole adage about writing where it's like, and then I got up in the morning and I stood up and I walked and I went to my bathroom and I brushed my teeth and then I rinsed my mouth out and then I dried my hands. And so there was some elements of that kind of stuff in here. But what struck out to me the most was they were always eating. Now, I think the author was just trying to do too much in this book. They would go to all of these great, cities, exotic cities with different foods and different smells and different just atmospheres, and they're beautiful. And I think she was using this to show those beautiful things. But these girls are supposed to be like on a mission, like life or death, time is of the essence, can't diddly-dally around, must get it done, but first, lunch. Like, seriously. And there's one part in here where if they would have just gone and done what they needed to do, they would have been all set. Instead, they got distracted in a bazaar and started shopping for 2 hours. And because of that, they wound up, meeting up with some bad guys. So there's a lot of that going on, a lot of distraction. So I feel like the writing, the actual story plot line, there we go, is very disjointed. The message is extreme at times and mixed at others. And I just did not like it. I am not against reading something else by this author because I felt like her actual writing in the novel part was good. I thought her writing was beautiful. I just did not care for this particular book. And I will say this, if you have ever felt like some of these ladies in this book, if you've ever had any of these horrible things happen to you, you are validated in however you feel, okay? However you feel. You're validated, you're heard, okay? You don't have to feel a certain way, but if you hang on to, and this is someone who's been assaulted herself, if you have ever been through any type of trauma, if you hang on to your anger, if you hang on to your fear forever, okay? There might be a time where you need to hang on to it and you need to just deal with it. But if you hang on to it forever, it's going to hurt you more than anyone else. And I just felt like the message of hanging on to fear and hanging on to anger was not healthy. Also, these women are supposed to be hundreds of years old. Like, Paoli is over 300 years old, and she still hasn't, like, their bodies are the same age as when they became wild ones, but their minds have grown, but she hasn't actually grown beyond her trauma, so to speak. And I don't think that's a good message. I think it's important to tell women that, yes, you can get beyond whatever has happened to you. It's not right. It is wrong. You should be angry. You should be scared. You should be upset. And we should do things to change it. But at the same time, there's healing that has to happen so that you can move on and you can be a victor. You don't have to be a victim forever. And I've just felt like these messages were so mixed. Because there was one thing in there that I thought was very telling, how they kept saying, you know, they were angry and they weren't going to be victims anymore, but they couldn't look in a mirror because they could only see what was wrong with them or what they wanted to change. And I was like, what a mixed message that is. So if you're right here right now and got all the way through this video, thanks so much for watching. I am working on another video for YouTubers' most anticipated books of 2022. It'll be books from January through March, and I'm working on that now. So be sure you are subscribed so you don't miss that, and I will see you very soon right here on Nat's Beautiful Life. Have a great day, gorgeous.